class. Yeah. So let us take that in a class of 20 students. We have a class of 20 students. Okay. So now, if you have to store the marks of a students, like if you need to store the report card of these 20 students, what would be the best possible way to store the marks? So what you can do, you can do something like student A. You can store it like student A and all his subject marks. Then student B, then student B and all his subject marks. Then student C and all his subject marks. Subject marks. So on for this continues for all the 20 students of the class. Right? So when a need arises for you to store your data in such a fashion where let me tell you okay, sorry, when the need arises of, for you in such a way that you need to arrange your data in this fashion, this is where you use something called as dictionaries in Python. Yeah, so just a minute. I'll cut off this and for a while. Yeah, so when the need arises, this is what you called as a dictionary, where this thing you're seeing, right, ABC are or what you called as keys in a dictionary. Using keys only, you will be able to access the records in a dictionary. These are keys, and what you store after the semicolon are nothing but values. Are nothing but values. So this is what is a dictionary in a nutshell, in a small nutshell. So now let us look at how dictionaries are being created. In order to create a dictionary, right? See, in Python, for list, what you do for list, you create it in a square brackets. For a tuple, you put it in these type of brackets. Whereas a dictionary is something you use something like sets. I think you know this flower brackets. You must have used it in your math. In your math, you have used you must have used it for something called like a sets. So this flower brackets is used to create a dictionary in Python. So so this is dictionary. So as I said, it is like a dictionary is nothing but a collection of key and value pairs. So here 1, 2, 3 are your keys, and these are your values. So this is how you can create a dictionary. Like this is all this is all numeric keys, integer keys. You can also have mixed keys. That is, one is a string and another is integer. Like what I can do is instead of storing like this, I can store it in this manner as well. Like what to say, what I can do is I can store it in the form of, let me pull up another page. So what I can do is I can store this dictionary, right? I can store, right? What I can do is I can store all the names of the students initially. I can store the names of the students initially, and then I can go with, let's say, I can go with the marks, or yeah, like not names. Let's say like uh, I can store something like, and this is an integers, and I can store something like numeric keys as well. So that is one way of creating a dictionary. So you see now. So I have created a dictionary using integer keys and using mixed keys. And moving on, if you want to create an empty dictionary, you just use the flower brackets. Or another method is using the dictate keyword in a list, right? And for a list, while creating, I told you that in Python you have a inbuilt method called list of. The same thing for the dictionaries as well. You have a inbuilt keyword called as dict. You say dict of, and you pass your dictionary, and you pass your key value pairs in the form of a dictionary. So it creates this dictionary for you, or else another ways you can pass a list of key value pairs. You can pass a list of your key and value pairs like this. So then you'll get then you can also create a dictionary. Uh, and there is another way of creating a dictionary, that is, you can have a dictionary within a dictionary, which is nothing but a nested one. So this is how you create a nested dictionary. So you can see that this is your outer fun, and this is your inner dictionary. So this is how you create a dictionary. Now coming to, once you have created, anyways you need to add elements. So now how do you add elements to a dictionary? If you're creating an empty one, right? You can just mention the keys. You can say it as dict of. You can say dict of 0 is equal to the value for the key. So I created 3 keys and 3 values. So I created now 3 keys and 3 values, and I'm printing it. So as you can see, right, you can see that you have added some elements to a empty dictionary. And another way of adding elements is, like, you want to add if you want to add a set of values to a single key, right? You just mention the key, and you just separate the values by comma, and give it to them in a single fashion. So then it creates this key called value sets, and it adds these elements in the form of a tuple. So here the thing is that when you separate it with commas, it by default it considers it as a tuple. By default, these values are stored in the form of a tuple. So this is how you add elements. And how, right? Suppose that let me say I have this. I would like to change the value for the second key. I would like to change the value for the key 2. So I can just assign like this, like a dict of 2 is equal to welcome, or there is another method which I will let you know in the we will look at it later. That is using update method. Using update method also you can do the same operations as we have done here. So I change the value of this second key to welcome, and I have added a new key called and I've added a new key called 5, and I have given a nested dictionary again. So I think this is a triple nested one. So you can see that this is the main dictionary. You have a sub dictionary, and inside that again you have a sub dictionary. So this is another way. So this is a way of updating either an element in the dictionary, or you add a new element to the dictionary. And for accessing, right, you just need to pass the key name. You have your one. If I pass it of one, I'm gonna get the value that is associated with this one. So if I pass name, I'm gonna get the value associated with this name. Or there is another method of getting the value for any particular key in a dictionary. That is using the get function. So in the get function, right, you just pass the value of the key. You just pass the key, and you'll get the value. So this is how you access the dictionary, and this is just for a simple one. What if in case you have a nested dictionary? What if in case you have a nested one? If in a nested one, it's pretty simple. You first call the key element of the main dictionary, and then you call the key element of the nested dictionary. So what I did is like here. If I say ticked off one, I'm getting this thing. I'm getting the value for the first thing. But what if now I want only the value? Yeah. So I want this value only geeks. So now how do I get this? So for here, I will just mention the numerical. I will mention the key related to this value. So once I mentioned it, I got here this thing, geeks. And for this also same thing. Dict to, I say off name, I'll get the value for. So this is how you add and access the elements of a dictionary. Do you have any doubts up to this point? Any doubts up to this point? Nice. Yeah, so did anybody say any doubts? Anything? I can go ahead, right? So, okay. If no one has any doubts, then let's move on to removing the dictionary. Removing, right? Let us say I have a dictionary like this. Let us say I have a dictionary like this, and now I want to delete some element of the dictionary. So what did I say? I said del and the dictionary and the key which I want to eliminate. So I'm trying to remove this one. When I remove this from my dictionary, so when I run this one, so it removes this six. So it removes the key 6 from the dictionary, and it gives me the rest of the thing. Now, when I say if in case you have a nested one, right? So here you see that for the key A, you have a nested one. So you just mention the outer key and the inner key. So you see L of uh, it of A of 2, and then you get the dictionary. So this is how you remove elements from a dictionary. And the second method is, this is the first method. Second method is using the pop element. So as I said, right, pop, right, in yesterday's class, I said that for pop, right, you need to pass some argument, right? For a list, it was the element. For a list, it was the element. But for but for a dictionary, it's nothing but it is a key value. You need to pass the key. So I passed the key 1. So it removed my first element and it printed me the remaining list. Sorry, it printed me the remaining dictionary. Let me check if the same thing happens if I pop this element, right? I don't know if by default one it works. Let me just check if I pop by default what happens. So see, right, if I pop it, right, it's throwing an error. Why is that? Let me show you. For a dictionary, right, you need to mention the key, or else it won't pop it out. So you can't for a list, right? The same thing, the same pop function. If in case I have a list, let me say I have a list of 1, 2, 3. Let's say I have this list, and I go ahead and say L dot pop off. It will just pop this element 6, and if I check the list, right, see it's 1, 2, 4, 5. It has removed the last element. But this same functionality doesn't work for a dictionary. It doesn't work. So this is the difference between the pop method in a list and in a dictionary. Now there is another method called as clear. Using clear, what happens is that it just simply erases the entire dictionary. You have this, I say clear, it will give me an empty dictionary. So finally what you get is an empty dictionary. So any doubts with deleting the elements from a dictionary using these 3 methods? Any doubts, or can I go ahead with the update method? Yeah. Anyone has any doubts? Anything? Mute. No doubt, right? Okay. So yeah. So there are actually many methods in a dictionary, but for now I'm mentioning just 2 methods. Actually, since I had some laptop issue, I could not work on all the methods. So for now, I'll just mention these 2 methods. Update method, right? As earlier I told you, right? Earlier that you can update an element in your dictionary just by giving your value to this key, right? Like you take the ticked off, you say the key and you assign the value, right? But now, right, there is another. So there is this method called update. Update, right? What you do is, suppose I have a dictionary like this, and I have another dictionary that is dict 2, Now I want to update this dictionary 1 with this dictionary 2. So what I do is I simply pass this dictionary 2 into the update function, and so you can see here that it has updated my dictionary. So so you need to remember one thing here, that whatever you pass inside this, look at this. The parameter says that it should either be a dictionary or it has to be an iterable object of key value pairs, generally a tuple. So let me show you how you can do it in the form of a tuple. Uh, uh, Let me show you how you can do it using a tuple. Let us say I have this same dictionary. Let me take it once again. And he said that either you need an iterable element, right? So let me pass tuple 1. I'll pass a tuple where I'll put something like, okay, yeah, I can do something like this. I pass A inside this. Uh, Sorry, just a moment. A, and I can do what is welcome, and I can create a tuple again. So I can create B and I can give it like 2. So I've given these two. So let me add. So dict 1 dot update of PUPL1. I think so. Did 1 got updated? Let me check. Yep. Yeah. You see, I mentioned these key value pairs in the form of a tuple. This is an outer tuple, and I mentioned it in the form of a nested tuple. And I send this tuple into the update method. What did it do? It added these elements in the form of a key value pair in the dictionary format. So this is how you can update a dictionary using an update method and set default method, right? Set default method. So what does this do is, see, suppose if you have a key, right? You have a dictionary like this, and I call a set default method, and I pass the value of a key. And I pass the value here. So what it does is it checks that if this key, right, if it exists, then it prints you the value that is associated with it. And if in case this is not in the dictionary, it assigns a none value to it. It assigns a none value to it, and yeah, so it assigns a none value to it. So what did I do? Yeah, so okay. Yeah, let me cut this code for you. See, so I do this, right? So you see that in this dictionary, the key is missing. So what did it do is it inserted this with a value called none. This is a default of value, that is by it's like by default Python will give it a none value. And if in case, right, let me say that yeah, or else if your value does not exist in the dictionary, right, here I did not mention any value, so I can also mention a value along with this key, and sorry, dictionary 1, right? Yeah, yeah. So you see this dictionary one, right? So this is your dictionary one for now. So what I did is I just went and added another key, but this time I gave it a default value. So it set it as a key. So what a default value I gave it, it said that. What if I don't give a default value here again? It becomes the same condition like this thing. So yeah, this is the entire thing about the dictionaries for today. So do you have any doubts or in the entire explanation up to this point? Uh, yeah, if you have any doubts, you can mute up your mic and speak up. Okay, then. Yeah. So let me give you a hint here. So uh, there might be some situations when you're writing your code, or when you're into a project, you're writing some code, right? There might be some instances where you need faster retrieval of information for your program. So the problem at this junction, if you use list, right, the issue is that your program has to go through each and every element of the list, and it has to iterate through the list, pick up the element and then do it, right. In such cases, you can simply convert your list into a dictionary, and then you can use it so that it is easy to retrieve it faster. So the advantage of dictionary or a list is that it is faster in processing compared to a list. And if you have huge volumes of data, right, if you have a huge amount of data, the problem with a list is that it will also lead to wastage of memory. So at that point of time also, you can use something like a dictionary. So as I said in the starting of the class, right, regarding like I said, right, when you have 20 students in a class and you want to store the marks, right, let us assume that you create a list and you store the marks of those 20 students. Just think of the amount of data you're storing in the memory. Instead of that, you can simply create a dictionary and store it in the memory. It takes very less space. So this is the difference between a list and a dictionary and when to use them. So Om, would you like to add any more points about lists and dictionaries that you are aware of?
No, no. Even I didn't knew that list comprehension which was done last in the last class. I mean, in school and wherever I had learned about list, no one had taught about that list comprehension thing.
List
And it,
comprehension, they don't mention that.
yes, and
Basically, they don't
it came
mention.
new for me. Like not even in books. I didn't find it anywhere. So yesterday after finding it, I like googled it. So like there is not a much info about that one, but it's like very. I found it very important, and it's making the code very easy to like write because it has reducing the size of code.
Because, I
Yes,
will tell you where list comprehension comes into picture, right? See, when you're writing any machine learning algorithm, right, you need to retrieve. Let's say I have millions of record and I want to start retrieving records. And now, if I go with a list or dictionary kind of scenario, right, it will take a lot of time. So that's where you can use something like a list comprehension to speed up it. That no one will mention it initially. So yeah. So anything in dictionaries that you know of?
No, even I know the basics of dictionary. That's why I didn't like took this topic up, because you know the things in dictionary and list more better, because I have learned it like.
Yeah, so guys, I'll just see we have two more topics left. One is apples, and another one is eggs. See, tuple, right? Let me say list. Let me see. Wait, just a moment. Yeah, moment. अरे यार भूल गया यार. See, you have a list one. Let's say that I have a list of elements 1 to 5, right? So, as we all know that in a list, right? In a list, I can just I can do something like wait, yeah. I can update any element of a list, or I can update any element of a list, or what I can do is I can delete any element of a list or something, right? I can do something like list dot hop of 3. I'm able to do all these operations, right? So now, right, let us say that you are now in a situation where you don't want your data to change, right? See, like you using a list, you can do any manipulations, anything you want. But let us say that when I'm building a machine learning algorithm, I don't want my data to change. I want the data to be stagnant. I don't want it to change. At that point of time, you can use something called as a tuple. So a tuple is nothing but it's it's an mutable data type in Python. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by this? So let me just give an example. So tuple, right? See, you create a tuple using this. What do we say? This close brackets. So you create a tuple using close brackets. I'm creating the same tuple like that of a list. Now, okay, sorry, tuple. I can't use this keyword. Let me say tuple one, and I call this tuple one, right? This is fine. Now, if I go and try to change the element of a tuple, it says that tuple does not support assignment operator. Why does it says item assignment? Because you cannot change anything in a tuple. You can't change anything inside a tuple. Also, I'm just give me the tuple methods, like tuple. I need to check if there are some methods for tuples. Tuples. Just give me a moment. Tuple, right? Tuple. Yeah, tuple. Okay. Tuple, so you can access in tuple is fine. Concatenating of tuples, slicing of tuples is also fine. Yeah. So yep. Let me say delete of tuple. Let me bring my notebook up. Yeah. So if I go ahead and say delete tuple of, if I go and say delete tuple of 2, right? It will not allow me, or it will not support me to, even it will not allow me to delete as well. So this is what is a tuple. It is like when you don't want your data, your final data to change or anything to change. Like at sometimes, right, you don't want your original data to change, but you want to create a copy of that original data, and then work on it, right? So at that time, you can make a copy of the original data, and then you can change your original data into a tuple format. So this is what is a tuple, but trust me, you will not be using tuples a lot actually. Only it is like you will maximum be operating on a list only, on a list or on dictionaries, but you will never be using tuple. So this is just for your knowledge purpose. This is just for a knowledge purpose. And now coming to another topic called sets. See, sets is nothing but sets is another form of a dictionary or sets, right? Let me take the same list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let me do something what is called as a duplication of elements, right? So I have this list. So you say that can you print me the unique elements within a list? Someone asked me that can you print me the unique elements within a list? So how do I do that? So in that case, you just do nothing but you convert this list into a set. So so simple. I call it as a set of. I pass this list, and now see set one. Set one has only the unique elements within this list. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what I can do is I can simply convert. This this set back into a list, and here you go. You get a list with only the unique elements. So you need to remember that if you want only the unique elements from your data, so then you use sets, and you use something called as a set. So so this is what is a basic introduction about a set. Let us now get into set and see some operations on sets, like what can be the sets. Like for sets, you have some you can, for a set, right, you can modify it like a list or a dictionary. Let us have a look at the add function. So let me consider this set. Let me consider this set together over here. I'm considering this set, right? So let me do one thing like people dot add an element to a set. So let us go to the parameters. It is saying that it has no effect if the element is already present. So now I need to add a new element to this set, right? So what I'll do is I'll just add an element. It's like adding it to a normal list. It's like adding an element to a normal list. So what I did is I added this element. So you can see that this got added. So you can see that this why did it change? Yeah. So you can see that your set is now arranged in an alphabetical order. So sets, right? So you might get get a doubt as to why it added in a numeric, why it added in an alphabetical order. Because when you do a set dot add function, it is doing something like a sort value. It is internally sorting the dictionary, like it is internally sorting this set, and it is giving you a set in the ascending order. So let me check your set. That's the reason why set is giving set set.
Print the set
Yeah, I cannot hear you properly. Can you just?
Can you print the set before adding?
Yeah,
Just
you
print
can.
it will arrange, na? I guess it happens without even adding.
Uh, I haven't used search a lot, so that's yeah, it's arranged. Yeah, yeah. Wait. Let me just rerun this set again. Let me rerun the set. Yeah, it is arranged in the ascending order. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah, so it's already us. So I think by a default, it is internally doing it in an ascending order, and when it is adding also element, it's adding it according to that order. Yeah, so thank you for letting me know that. So this is one thing, and union regarding sets, I don't think we'll be using an union, and intersection will not be using that much. So I'm not sure, but Om, do you want me to go through all these operations? Because I am not sure that we'll be using these operations or not. So should I mention them?
I guess you can simply share this link and that should be okay. We can go through it by our own self.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's better sets. You can go through it.
Because
I'll
practically sets is a really vast topic otherwise.
no. Actually, sets that you won't be using them, but uh, let's do one thing. Let us see like what happens. It's better. It's not an issue. We can have a set right. So intersection right. Intersection is nothing but in mathematics. You know that. You have a set A. You have a set B. So what are is common between both the elements? You get those elements in an intersection, right? So now let me just see what happens to this code. Sets right. Let me make up sets. अरे हाँ ठीक है okay, everything is fine, it's running fine now. So God, just a moment. Where the heck did I go wrong with it? Okay. Nice. Yeah, so what did it do is yeah, like wait, just let me print the sets for you so that you get an idea of what the sets are. Yeah, just let me print these two sets for you guys. Print of set one and print of set two. I'm doing set intersection. Oh, okay, he's created the sets. Okay. Let me copy these two over here as well. So, and yes, let me do this. Right sets. Or we'll throw again another file. So, initially, these are the two sets you have. So, one is from 0 to 4, and another is from the range 3 to 9. So, you got these two sets. So, what are the common elements 3 and 4? So, you got 3 and 4. You have again, I think I copied the code double times. Yeah, wait. Yeah, I copied the code double times. So yeah, just to say that you have these 3 and 4 of the common elements. This is what you get, and let me consider the same set, and let me do what is called as a union. I don't know if union works the same. Let me check what is set 4. So union, right? It combined both these sets, and it gave all the elements in set A and set B. So this is what is about set union. and set a difference, right? Set difference is nothing but in general math, right? If he says set of A minus set of, he write what are elements are not there, what are elements are not there in set B are printed out. So let me just do set 5 is equal to set 1 dot what is it, I don't know, difference of set 2. So set 5, right? So set 5, right? You're seeing you have, wow, so your set 1 and set 2 is this. Wait, what did it do? Just a moment. Set 1, right? Set 1 dot difference of set 2. So 3, 4. Oh, yeah. So, right, what are elements? You have set 1 and set 2, right? So, you're saying set 1 minus set 2. So, it is printing all those elements and all those elements which are in set A and not in set B. So, the elements that are in set A is 0, 1, 2. So, it's printing 0, 1, 2. It's printing all those elements of set A which are not in set B. So, yeah. So, this is what is a difference of the set operator. So, yeah, this is what is entirely about the sets. Maybe. So yeah, this is what is about sets. So yeah, anything more?
I think it's like complete now. So that is done. Tuple done. Dictionary list also done. So I think if anyone has doubts in loops or anything which was done previously,
Yeah,
they
if
can
you
ask.
guys have any doubts from the first class till now, right? You can let us know, and in the ending, we'll also let you know like what is the further what are the further ways you can forward once you know all these basics, right? What is the next advanced one? We will let you know that as well. So yeah. So yes, guys. You have any doubts from the first class till now? You can just get them cleared with us and live. And guys, let me tell you one thing. Please do hands-on on a list and dictionaries, right? Please get yourself very acclimated with lists and dictionaries, because these two things will be used the most in a machine learning or data science. These things will be used the most. uh, uh, yeah, so you need to have a hands-on on this. And I think we missed something, man, in a list. I feel like we missed something in list.
Like what we did, like 4 loops.
Map, map function, map function. You forgot to mention the map function.
Okay, yes, mapping.
Yeah,
Okay.
map without that map, right? Ah, without map, you'll struggle in when you're handling and you're handling libraries like pandas, right? So in a pandas, you have a map, filter, and a reduce. We forgot to mention that.
I think if you can cover mapping part, because I haven't done pandas much, like
I've
mapping.
done, I
Yes,
take
yes,
over that.
because yes, you take over. I'll like explain. Wait, someone is asking for and while loop. Let me first explain that, then you can like
Yeah,
elaborate
yeah,
on this mapping. So wait a
yeah,
second, I'm
sure.
just setting my place. Yes, uh, yes, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, let me stop and share. Yep, you can go ahead.
Yes, yes, yes. Wait a minute. It's opening.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. Um, Wait a second. Stop sharing. So wait, I'll create a new notebook only for this. So this won't open up. So yes. So for loop. So for loop is like as name suggests, for like it will run until you give it a like both for and while run until the condition given here, like condition which is given here is not fulfilled. So like first I'll go for loop. So if you like for I in range 5, so this is like now I will like go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and will the loop will like run for 5 times, because from 0 to 5. So it will take 5. It will run for 5 times. So it will like print I. So you run this uh, for I. Okay, I didn't add this in. Yes. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, for loop is something like which is continued or which follows until this condition which is given here is not completed. So like range for 5 times we gave, like go it shall run till range 5. So it runs till that point. So in the same way, while is also like if we want to do same program in while, we'll go like while x is greater than 5, print x, x is equal plus is equal to 1, 1, and x is equal to 0. So like here also it will give same output. See, uh, wait, I will remove this one. Yes. So why is it not working? While x is greater than 5. Okay, okay, wait, sorry, it should be less than 5. Yes, so say, see, what we did in for loop, we used the range function, and the range was until 5. What we did here, we first gave the value of x as 0, and then applied a condition whenever this x is less than 5, this loop shall run. But in for loop, whenever we give a name to variable, its value is like decided already. I mean, by default, it's 0. But if you like go here, no value is like defined for x, so it won't work. But if you like give this value of x, because while loop is like you need to define the variable being used before the loop starts. So this is like basic of for and while loop. And at what point you like have the doubt, because this is like the basic syntax of for loop and while loop. Like you can put in the chat box. Or if you want like some questions on for and while loop or combined nested loop of for and while loop, we can like give those links to them here and in the Google Classroom.
Yeah, you can.
And yes, that PDF which we did that day, it is also provided in that meeting only. I mean, Google Classroom only we have shared that one.
And right, I am not sharing my Jupyter notebook as a Jupyter notebook. I'm sharing it as a HTML file. Since I'm not sure how many of them installed Jupyter, right? So what I did is I shared an HTML file of the notebook. So
You
that it,
share as .py, na? Yeah, like it's
no,
.py,
it is in
na?
dot HTML file.
Okay,
So like it opens directly in your browser, and you can just it opens in your browser like this. So anyone can just have a look at it. They need not specifically those who don't have Jupyter notebook, right? They can just access it.
okay. So for and while loop, I don't know that what was name that Devashita Vaidya. So like if you can put in the chat section like what was the doubt, so we can explain that. Until then, I think Shashank, you shall like go on for mapping. I will pause share from my side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So actually, in a list, right? While explaining lists, I did not mention three functions you have in a list. One is what is called as a map. Second one is what is called as an filter, and map, filter, and third is something like third is a reduce. Now let me explain you what these three functions generally do. So right, let me say that I have a function cube. So like this map, filter, and reduce, right? You use these three and what is called as and what to say. Let me write. You have something called anonymous functions, also called anonymous functions, or uh, uh, lambda functions. Anonymous functions are lambda functions, right? So let me just put it in a markdown. So anonymous functions are lambda functions. So what is a lambda function or what is a lambda function? So let me say that I have a function cube which takes an integer y, and it returns me it returns me a return of y star y star y, right? I say cube of 5, right? Cube of 5, you're getting 125. This is fine. But now just think of how much memory and how much processing is required to just create a memory for this function, for this variable, just to access this function, pass this value, calculate this value, and return it, right? So it is gonna take a lot of memory and lot of processing speed. So instead of writing in this fashion, right, there is something called as a lambda function where you can just write all of this thing in a single line. I'll tell you how you can do that in a single line. Just a moment. I just don't remember the syntax correctly. Yeah, got it. Thanks. So there is let me say half lambda cube. So my lambda cube, right? I'll just say lambda x, and lambda x or something.
Wait, I think you shall explain that this what is like a return function, and here def cube is like we created our own function
Okay, this one and this one, right?
because yes, like def cube return and this lambda. I mean, this is like you created a function now on yourself. So
No, this is
you
not
shall
for
like
yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah.
return and
So
def. Yes.
this thing is right. So return and f, right? See, for a normal function, you generally you say def of the function name and you pass the value, and then you say return of something. So what I'm returning here is a cube of a number 5. What I'm doing is I'm just simply replacing this entire function into a single line function, which is a lambda function, which is nothing but a lambda function. So now what happens is that so now my lambda function is created, but when I check my lambda function, right, it will just show you that this is a lambda function, but you won't get any value because it's an anonymous function and it's not stored in the memory, so it won't show you the output of this. So like in order to access the output, right, you just need something like, so now I'll take this lambda function and I'll say cube of 5. I'm getting 125. So how so not this, just 1 second, just a minute. Lambda, okay, I need to send in one thing. Wait, just a minute. I did a thing. How do I remove this? Sorry, I need to run lambda function, not a cube of 5. So lmd lam lambda cube of 5, right? See, you get the same result, but what you're doing is this entire function is just replaced in a single liner. This entire function, instead of wasting memory, instead of wasting your speed, you're simply replacing it with a single liner function which does the same thing as this entire function. So this is what is a lambda function. So this is what is a lambda function. Now in lambda function, you have something called map, filter, and reduce that you can use along with this lambda functions. So the easy way to understand map, filter, and reduce using a lambda function, I'll show you is nothing but a list. Let me just create, I actually need to create a list. So I'll not be just jumping into this. I'll take this list only. I'll take this list, simple, and I'll be writing my own code. Correct. Okay. So I'm just going, creating this list up right now. Now let me say that I ask you to get the even element list, right? I say give me odd elements from this list. So what you can do, you can either create a function or either you can go with a for loop. But now creating a function and creating a for loop is a big headache. So instead of that, right, what I'll do is, right, I'll simply say L1 is equal to list of anything. What is in the chart of? Just a moment. Did anyone send me anything in the chat? The function is just. Yeah, so I was explaining this function, right? So this is for, let me say, this is for the list, and this is for the filter function, right? Okay. So yeah, so what I was trying to say is, suppose you have a list like this, and I ask you to find out the odd numbers. You would generally write a for loop, or you can even create a function and write it. But using using something what is called as a filter function. See, if you want to filter out anything from this list, you based on any condition, you can just call the filter function and say lambda x, and you can pass this condition and comma the list name. Why did I do so? You might get it out. So if you check the doc string of a filter function, it asks you to send an iterable element. It asks you to send an iterable element into it. So what is an iterable element? Is a list. So it has two arguments or parameters. One is the function and the second is the iterable element. So here iterable element, what I'm passing is the list. So I pass my function, that is x mod list 2 is not equal to 0, and the list li. So now what happens is that, see, I get all the odd numbers in this list. I got all the odd numbers in this list li. So effectively what I'm doing is, I'm eliminating the dependency on function and the loops through what is called as a lambda function and a filter function. So this is what is the use of lambda function basically. Like since Om has told me that you guys don't know what function is. Since Om told me that you guys don't know what functions are, right? So let me just tell you one thing. So as I told you, right, you have this list over here, list li, right? You have this list li. I told you what I said, that I need an so let me say I have this list li, and I say that I want all the squares or cubes of this element. So you can create a function, right? See, so for creating a function in Python, you use something what is called as a def keyword. So you write def of the function name, and you pass in the list L, and I say for x and L, I will say return of Let me say. Okay. Return of x cube. Right. I call cube of li. Wait. What did it do, man? Okay, for x and null. Sorry, it gave the last element. Yeah. Let me just, sorry. I want all the cubes of the elements, right? So, range of L. Let me say this. Sorry, just a moment. Function at list. What did I do, man? Arey bhai. Uh, just a moment. I didn't use functions, but just just a moment. Test using function. Ah, I don't know. Just a moment. I was just checking for this list. Hmm. Nope. This is using power function. Array. I don't. Array. Just wait. Using functions, right? Let me just check for a better example. I don't know. I'm messed up. I pretty messed up my list. Just a moment. Just give me functions. Just a moment of these functions, right? I'm not sure of how, but just give me a moment.
What you want?
Right.
I mean,
Like, see, I created a function, right? Now I created a function for this list cell. So I want to return the cube of this list. I want cube of li. I want the cube of each and every element in this list. I'm getting x, right? So, one second. I'm accessing every element in list. I'm doing cube. But, okay, let me just do one thing, right? Uh, Let me create an empty list and see what happens.
you like what you want to do right now in this one.
I'm trying to cube each and every element of the list and I'm trying to return a new list. Okay. So just, I think so this works.
I
I'm
think
not sure if this
store that L dot append in some other list and then you can like try returning. Or
no,
maybe
actually,
like
I don't,
put this, I think put this in the give a backspace and
sorry,
put it just
I got
after
it, I
this.
got it. I passed the range, right? So I'm passing range and like I'm getting cube. I'm not sure why. This cannot be interpreted as an integer. Okay, range, right? Forgot. Sorry. My bad. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, my bad. I just did a small mistake. Yes, excuse. Yeah, now it should work out. Yeah, I did a small mistake. What is the mistake, man? This cannot be interpreted as an integer. Yeah. So you were saying something, right? What was it?
Yes. I am saying like give a backspace and directly put this in another line just after this for loop. Don't give that space of one empty line.
Empty line. should actually be within the for loop only. I'm not sure what it's creating. Can you give me the code?
Someone wrote clear the previous code. It happened with me yesterday. I think Jupyter Notebook is creating issues. You can like open the Python editor and copy paste it there. In previous classes, same was happening with me as well.
Uh, I can just let me just run and check. Jupyter creates collab should help me out. Okay, there I did buy it. वैसे लगता है बस हाँ बैक छोड़ okay okay fine Python editor right
Yes, yes.
uh, let me do or else let me do one thing now कि उतना हमारा मैं गूगल कोलैब तो बोल सकता हूँ क्या कोलैब तो कनेक्शन हो जाए 5 मिनट है yes Python editor I have but I'm not sure I use Python editor I just open up Colab and do. It's a small example, so not an issue. So this will work. Just copy this code. Let me do one thing. Let me just copy this code over here. Yeah, let me run this. This is anyways running in GPU, so it doesn't matter much. Okay, alright. Let me share my screen. I just hold on. Where did my notebook go? Where is my notebook? Where is my notebook? I take this code, pop it up. My Jupyter control V. So let me pop code up. Okay. So cube of right. Okay, it's giving the same error. I don't know, like why it's not letting me cube the elements. I'm not sure. Let's or like, do you want me to just give a normal function of a cube without any list?
Yes, it's like you can show how you can create simple programs as loops only and as function and then use it anywhere in the code by
I'll do
calling them
that.
simply.
This list part I'll work later. If I get that, I'll post it in the Google Classroom. Not an
Yes,
issue.
yes.
So simple function, right? So we have even odd numbers, right? You have an even and odd number thing, right? So you can for even and odd you can write a for loop and do all that stuff and all. So right, yeah. So let me just give it def of even uh, even odd. I'm creating an even or odd, and what I'm trying to do is, let's say I'm passing some in the list. I'll tell you what why I should do this. Just give me a moment. Uh, just a moment. I don't. Once I have logged in, I just needed once. Where is my list Python? Just give me a moment. I'll tell you what. I was just referring to something. So let it run up. Yeah, it's now my Jupyter will take other times to load up. So, I'm not sure why it's taking time to load, but just a moment. Sorry. How do I handle this? So I need my, not this book. Here's the other book I created. Like, home, can you take over the class better? I think it's better if you can explain functions.
Yes, yes. Wait a second.
I'll do that because I'm confused a bit
Yes. So,
currently.
yes. Uh, so yes, here it is. So I will show. Wait a second. Yes. So it's like whenever function is like you create this full program here. Like I go for this and I write def demo, nothing here, and paste this thing here. So it's like function is like you create a small so sometimes you need same program to be used at different locations in the program, or like you can't always write the copy paste the same program because it will like increase your size of program and working efficiency of the program, because Python will go from line to line. So for that, like if you suppose I want a program in which I need to run this loop at different places, so I create a function demo and I store this program, I mean this for loop and this print I in that one. So whenever I like call demo, it will give me value of that. So you can see expected. Okay, yes, indentation. So see how it works is I first you need def. So def stands for define. So define, and then here is it's like a name of function. It can be anything unless and until it is inbuilt function like print or input or anything like that. And here you like write the parameter or a parameter which you def works with anything. Like def is like basic. It's like you can have anything or nothing here. So def is like you define a function. Like for variables, you simply write x is equal to 1. But when you are defining a function, you create a you need this def, which like defines its existence. About like now a function named demo empty parentheses will exist. So for that, yes. So yes. So for that you need it to be, so for that you need to define it, and then you simply like copy paste this, and it's like you need this program to run somewhere else. So like I now here go and write while x is equal to x is less than 7, print hello, and x plus is equal to 1, and I give value of x. So right now you will see demo won't print anything. uh, okay. uh, okay, this error came up again, so restart. Okay, wait, I should yes, yes. So if I run this, you can see it's printing hello infinite times, and so uh, and this program is nowhere. But now if you see I write demo this, so this is like calling a function. Wherever you will put this demo and this like this function name, it this program will start at that point. So when after this hello is finished, this will start. So I'll and now I shall revert this. So now Okay, this which one there is. Okay, this is again restart and done all. Yes, so uh,
It has to be less than.
so I mean, whenever this demo will be called there, this loop, which is it will go back to here, go back at this for I range one, print I. It will come back here and print and this function, whatever is given in this demo function, that program will run. So to make it easy, if I write dev demo print hi and I remove this while I remove this program. So if I write right now, you will see it will print nothing. Okay, it's dead. Kernel restart. Yes. Oh, wait second. Def demo print hi and okay. What? Why is it not printing? Yes. So you can see nothing got printed. But when I call this function, now it will print hi because this is how function works. You create a small program here in the function, and whenever you will call that function here, it will work. So I can show one more thing like demo, and I write a variable name y x0 here, and I write x is equal to 0, and here I write 4. And now in this function print x, and here I write print new comma x. So see, x is not defined. Okay, yes, it's outside the program. So like this is something like I gave a variable x here. So now this will also have a variable. So I gave a value of x as 0, and when you print it, it will come 4. But if I don't give anything, I remove this and I go like this, it will print 4. So it's like when you create a function, you can like have this variable here, and you can use this one in program anywhere where you want, and like x is equal to x plus 10. So whenever you need a function, you will simply write the value of x here, or you can like write y here and then ask the user input like x is equal to input and input the value of x, input x, and y will come here. So that value of x will come here. Python goes line by line. So now that value will come here, and then it will go on, go in this loop, and then it will print it here. And now I write print x. No, it won't print. So, cut. So see, input x, I write 2. So hi and then 2, and you can okay, yes, int 5. So you can see it printed 5, and if I go and put this in a loop here, you can see it printed x plus 2, which is 12. So basically function is a very vast topic, and it has like it is very useful topic as well, but like we can't like go on and on it because it's very vast and deep topic. So like we will this is like how you define a function, and like it is basically used to make your program small and like more efficient, because you simply create a program here and call it whenever needed. So when you like create big programs where you need to repeat certain types of codes numerous time, you rather than typing copy pasting them again and again, simply uh, put them in a function and call that function whenever you need that. So for creating a function, you write def function name, and this can be blank, and if not blank you can add a variable here, and it can have any number of value like x, y, z, like any number of, and variable naming, a first letter should be an alphabet, and then it can have numbers and underscore, but first should be an alphabet, and ending can have anything. So this is like def, then you put this colon, because it's like anything in Python which you in which you add something, like here in function you will add these three parts, in loop also you add something after the loop statement. So when it's like syntax by default in Python of this colon, and then you print whatever loop or program needs to be you need for function, and then you simply call that function anywhere where you want, and it will simply print. And like you can search about function. Yes, so like when you will like simply go on and type yourself first the basic programs from the resources we gave, and that one Code Academy link where you can like they have their own online editor, and they have given resource material for each and every function and each and every smallest topic. So if you like do that course, or simply search these terms, function, list, strings, so you will find 2 3 websites which have like very good questions and content on these things. And one thing you should remember, always go for websites like Geek for Geeks and Code Academy, or 2 3 more, like because these are updated frequently after these Python updates. Because if you go and read about Python 2, like you go from and read from old PDF books, like older versions, so they have Python 2 or earlier versions of Python 3 where syntax is like a bit different. That time they had print and directly you write hello or anything, but without these things as also, I think it was something like that. So if you read the books of Python 2, yeah, we'll share a few more links in classroom. So if you go and read the books of Python 2, some libraries are also not there, and these inbuilt functions also many were not there. These were created later. So better is to like go on to these websites and read them, because PDFs sometimes are backdated and books are also. If you like get this book, there are 2 3 books which are like, one is Python Learn. It has level, I mean Python 2 only, but it is like it has like given the concepts in a very nice way. And also there's one book, this Head First to Python. I won't recommend to buy it because it's like of around 4 5 thousand, and it's like it's only for those who like literally want to pursue, like who literally want to like know the each and every part of Python, and like not only as hobby, like in future they are planning to go in professional life for Python. So you can like buy that book. It's the name is Head First to Python.
Oh,
Yes, online websites are blogging websites are best, even because they even provide you direct. You can simply directly check the codes, because you need to have like laptop or phone with yourself. So keeping a book, like you need, but one thing is, be it online website or anything, you need to like write the code yourself. And also it's like if you like start writing the code in your notebooks like handwritten, and if that time you don't get any error, like before typing it on your machines on your laptops, simply write that code or build the logic on your notebook without taking help from any resources. And then when you are sure that this is the final code which won't have any error, then you simply go on Python and type. And if you like get it done in without any error, so it's like you have mastered the basics of that particular concept or topic. So like this is the thing which we also did in school, because in schools we are like in computer exams you are not given yeah, any computer. You have to simply write each and every code which they ask for. So if you have a like habit of writing the codes in notebook as well, and building logics first in notebook and then on Python, so your code will also look a bit clean, and like it will like so what I used to earlier do, I used to write the code first on this Python editor, then it used to become a bit haphazard. I mean, too many times try hit and trial. So then I used to get a final code. Then I used to refine it and copy paste. So a school teacher told like go and start writing the code in your copies and start building a logic that way. And if you are able to do that and get you're not getting any errors, so you will like you have mastered that topic, and then you can directly jump on your computer and type those. So this is the best way to like learn Python. Go read online, close that site for a while, write in your notebook, check whether you got that right. And indentation is also needed. Like you go, this for is brought here, it will not be a part of this uh, function. It will simply be outside the function, and this function will be like empty and there won't be any use. So indentation and line by line and capital small. So Python is like very case sensitive. You need to have proper case. Like if you give this for a capital letter, it will show error. If you go and if you go and write in different lines, it won't, because it goes from line to line. So these are like basics, and we will share 2 3 resource material where you can find the topics and you can like read yourself. So this was our last class, because from like we have covered all the topics which is needed for Python basics, and now like any of you can further on, we will like provide today or by tomorrow we'll provide a few links in which we'll have like Python is used in each and every field nowadays. So we'll provide like if you want to go for machine learning, you can do this course. All will be free of cost, online courses. You can if you want to go and build a web app, you can do this course, or you need to learn this library of Python. So like today this will be the last class, so we will upload it on YouTube by tomorrow, and we will share the resource material in the Google Classroom only, like 2 3 website links and courses link. You can like further on if you want to, whichever field you find interesting, machine learning, data science, or artificial intelligence, web apps, anything, you can go on, and those courses will be free, and you can Google on about those topics and can find more courses on like YouTube or reading materials. So thank you. And yes, yes, that you can post in the Google Classroom and on our Twitter as well. We'll be active in Classroom and on Twitter as well, so you can ask at both places. And
Directly post it in that, they can directly post it in that Telegram, right? That's much more
yes, yes,
easy.
that Telegram group also. If you all are there, we will share the joining link of Telegram group in Classroom if anyone is not there. Your Telegram, we are mostly active, and Twitter and Google Classroom also. If someone posts any doubt, we have like we get our emails from Google Classroom about the notification. So thank you, and it will end in 4 minutes. So if anyone has any doubt or anything or any feedback, so they can tell. And thank you for your precious time, and I hope you all learned something out of it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Uh, so, before today's last class, right? I just want to add one thing.
Yes,
See,
Simbo.
yeah, I was thinking like one thing, like I just wanted to ask how many of them here are generally using Python in their offices, like just to check out, because like I wanted to share something like like see now we have taught you the basics, right? After this, you have two paths that you can go down. One is the data science path, and another one is the Python developer path, and third one is machine learning ops, ML ops. I'll say data science and ML ops both are the same thing. It's just an advanced version. Whereas in Python developer role, right? So you would be building websites using Django, Flask, and all. So it's all up to you guys now. But just remember one thing: you go into any field, in any field, you just need to have hands-on on Python. And because from my point of view, from my perspective, for learning data science, it took me almost a year to understand, because at initially I was very strong with Python. Initially I was very weak with Python, had to learn Python a lot. And then when I got to data science, right, it was like a bombardment. Yeah, it was like a whole bombardment of everything, like a math and Python combined. It was like linear algebra, statistics, Python, everything combined. So, in when you have such combinations, right, you need to be very good at your programming skills. So, please always practice. Never ever leave it. You can even spend an hour a day. Just spending an hour a day, you can just master all the Python. So this is what I have to say. So Om, if you can add up anything, you can add it, or we can end the class for the day. Or if anyone has any suggestions or any doubts, you can do that.
Yeah, so someone wrote that Rishikesh is in 10th. So yes, in 11th onward, if she takes Python, it will be very helpful, because these are the basics which are taught in 11th, 12th, and if she knows it
Yeah, yeah.
previously only, they can like go on in the school, and they can go on and like learn from various resources. Like even I knew this in before 11th only, so it was like always it's better to know what is being taught in your class.
Yeah, and to be frank, right, those who are still in their college or first year of engineering, right, you guys are the luckiest ones. You have got a lot of time to learn compared to us. Compared to us, you have got a lot of time to learn. So